The Chair recognizes the gentleman from Florida, Mr. Deutch, for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Director Comey, the FBI is tasked with very serious responsibilities. You're on the front lines trying to prevent terrorist attacks. You're investigating public corruption. And as I told your agents on a recent visit to your Miami field office, I am grateful to you and your agents, all of the women and men of the FBI, for your dedication to and commitment to the pursuit of justice. We're most grateful. Now, one critical responsibility of the FBI is to investigate when American citizens violate federal laws involving improper contacts with foreign governments. And Director Comey, if an American national goes outside government channels to negotiate with a foreign government on behalf of the United States, that's a very, very serious crime, one that would violate the Logan Act, which, as you know, is the law that prohibits unauthorized people from negotiating with foreign governments in the place of the United States government. Director Comey, would the FBI take allegations of Logan Act violations seriously? Is that within your jurisdiction?
Yes, it's within our jurisdiction.
And if you had credible evidence that someone had violated the Logan Act, would the FBI investigate that alleged violation of law?
I think we have done many Logan Act investigations over the years, and we certainly will in the future.
And am I correct in assuming that you're familiar with publicly quoted comments from various intelligence sources that have said that Russia has targeted the United States with illegal state-directed hacking?
I'm aware of the published reports.
If an American citizen, Director Comey, conducted meetings with a Russian individual who has been sanctioned by the United States about potential weakening of U.S. sanctions policy in violation of the Logan Act, would the FBI investigate?
I don't think it's appropriate to answer that. That gets too close to confirming or denying whether we have an investigation. It seems too close to real life, so I'm not going to comment.
Okay, but you have investigated Logan Act violations. It's something that's clearly within your jurisdiction. I appreciate, Director Comey, your confirming that the FBI would treat these potential violations of law both seriously and urgently, because everything that I just outlined that you said the FBI would investigate has apparently happened already. Public reports suggest that the Logan Act may have been violated by Carter Page, one of the men Donald Trump singled out as a top foreign policy advisor, though now the campaign appears eager to revise Mr. Page's role, given the attention rightly being given to his illicit negotiations with a sanctioned Russian official. I've read reports from Yahoo News from last week that law enforcement may already be looking into this issue, and I assume we all agree that the allegations are very serious. Russia, a nation that hacks America, a nation that continues to enable the Assad regime to slaughter the Syrian people, a nation that threatens and violates the territorial integrity of its neighbors and our European allies. It is a dangerous violation of federal law if Donald Trump's advisor, Carter Page, is engaging in freelance negotiations with Russia. And here's what we know. In March, Donald Trump named Carter Page as a foreign policy advisor. In July, Mr. Page traveled to Moscow to give a speech that was harshly critical of the United States. And during that trip, Mr. Page is reported to have also met with a Russian official named Igor Sechin, a member of Vladimir Putin's inner circle and the president of the petroleum company Rosneft, who was sanctioned by the United States under Executive Order 13361, prohibiting him from traveling to the United States or conducting business with U.S. firms. So Mr. Sechin has a clear and personal interest in lifting U.S. sanctions against him and other top Russian officials put in place by President Obama after Russia's military action in Ukraine. Now, if these two men met to discuss sanctions policy or a lifting of sanctions under a potential Trump administration, this would be enormously concerning. Just last week, the press reported that U.S. intelligence officials are seeking to determine whether an American businessman identified by Donald Trump as one of his foreign policy advisors has opened up private communications with senior Russian officials, including talks about possible lifting of sanctions. Mr. Comey, it is illegal if Trump's advisor met with Russians who have been sanctioned by the United States about lifting these sanctions, and I am grateful for your reassurances this morning that the FBI would investigate potential violations of the Logan Act by any individual who engages in unauthorized negotiations with a foreign government. I remind my colleagues that Donald Trump invited Russia to hack the United States. I remind my colleagues that Donald Trump suggested breaking America's long-standing commitment to our NATO allies and weakening U.S. sanctions against Russia. Is there a connection between these reckless and dangerous policy proposals and the potential violation of the Logan Act by Donald Trump's Russia advisor? Mr. Comey, we appreciate very much the FBI's vigilance in pursuing justice, Mr. Chairman, I yield back.